What is going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today when I talked about Faraday future tickers FFIE, I want to give you a breakdown on the data points, what shorts are doing, and as well what's been coming out from the company that's kind of pointing to it being a little bit more positive. Before I get into any of that though, make sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And with that, let's get right to it. So pre-market, it is up 5.56%. So far, a lot of good buying that's been happening. So that's definitely a fairly good positive. That is linked to clearly what's been coming out from Faraday itself. But when it comes down to some of the data points, I'll start off by going over that prior to the recent updates. So almost around $10,000 in calls being purchased versus 14,000 in puts. So this is from Monday. Obviously the market's not open yet. So based on this, even though it did close at $1.08, a lot of people are anticipating for it to trend down. And even if you look at a lot of the puts, people are anticipating for it to trend to sub $1 by this Friday. If you are optimistic though, a lot of people are anticipating between the $1.50 and $2 range. So a little bit more of a bounce when it comes down to that. But no matter what, when it comes down to options activity, it is just merely a sentiment. It does not move the stock price. So that's something just to kind of keep in mind. But as far as this, I just wanted to briefly talk on this. So this is the latest round of 13F. So it is that time of season where a lot of institutions do disclose their positions to the SEC. Anything in red does show that they got out 100%. And this was all during Q3. So once again, just be aware of that. But one thing of concern that I just wanted to bring up is BlackRock funds. So when it comes down to BlackRock, like they have their hand in absolutely everything. And if they don't, usually that's a cause for extreme concern. So when it comes down to iShares, and keep in mind, this is just one ETF of many that they do have. So just the fact that they did close out one position doesn't mean kind of on a larger scale that's what they did, but usually this isn't a good sign. But at the same time, you can't really blame, for instance, BlackRock and Barclays getting out during Q3, because as far as this, like this is absolutely horrible all the way up until September the 30th. Like this is absolutely of a disgusting chart, and obviously this is what management did kind of talk on as well, but still I'm going to go over all that, starting off with shorts. So as of right now, pre-market, they are increasing around 55.43 thousand shares. 42.73% of the free float is being shorted. 8.87 million shares overall are being shorted. It is still on the threshold list. So this one, it's been on there for a good amount of time. I think it's about 8 consecutive days, if I remember correctly. And just to put it in perspective, these are all the actual failure to delivers. So pretty significant amount when it comes down to that. So clearly based on this and the price action that's been happening, it is fair to assume that there's been a ton of naked shorting. But cost to borrow average is 24.69. So it is opening up a little bit higher in comparison to Monday. So based on the shorts, what's your viewpoint? Do you think that there is ever going to be a short squeeze, or at what stage do you think shorts are going to get their grasps out of Faraday? And like I said, I'm actually kind of positive, somewhat, take that with a grain of salt of course, but I'm kind of positive about some of the recent updates. So one of which did come out Sunday after hours or evening. So it says 6 measures Faraday Future is taking to protect stockholder interests, and one is going to be monitoring the trading activity. So that is point number 1. So they did engage with a Shareholder Intelligence Services LLC, and so they are going to be monitoring a lot of the trading information and trading activity as far as kind of building a case, because I think it's almost around 2-3 weeks ago they did announce that they might be potentially looking at a lawsuit, but you need this kind of information first. So at least Faraday is moving in the right direction. So they're going to be trying to investigate a lot of malicious activity. And then over and above that, in this news piece, it just says the fact that management is very just disgusted ultimately by what's been happening on the stock price and many things, which is fair to assume. Still at the end of the day, it's kind of somewhat their fault. But even with the news that came out late last night, it says right here, Faraday Future announces master plan. So it's kind of interesting, master plan. It makes it sound so complex and things, but to achieve sustainability and further stability while aiming to reduce dependence on external funding sources. So what stood out to me was this. And ultimately, there's been a lot of articles coming out on how toxic lenders are destroying a lot of companies. And ultimately, these companies had no other choice. They had no other lenders. They need money to obviously start operations, to hire, and many other things. So a lot of companies do resort to toxic lenders. And when it comes down to this news right here, they did say that they're not going to be further pursuing any external funding sources. So meaning toxic lenders. They're being too nice in this article, in my opinion, considering those are the same ones that completely destroyed the company. So these are the only two that are listed, but based on in the past, there was 𝗖𝗢𝗡𝗘𝗖𝗧, there was also, I think, 𝗖𝗢𝗡𝗡𝗘𝗖𝗧, if I remember correctly. So a lot of those same toxic insiders are similar to what is happening with Mullen as well. So definitely a lot of interesting things happening, but I like these two last updates. Even though it is just them talking, at least they have the right mentality to get rid of the crap that's been plaguing it over the last little bit. So yes, this news is good. I don't know if it's going to cause the stock price to go up and stay up, but definitely Faraday does have the right mentality. So my own opinion, not financial advisor, of course. So right now with it at $1.08, so that's what it closed at yesterday, it is right now between this S1 and the pivot. So $1.02 is one point to really watch for today. That's the next strong support, vice versa $1.10, and so far pre-market it is above that, so it is fair to assume that it might trade within this range, so $1.10 to $1.18. But like I said, based on the options activity, people are anticipating for it to be above $1.50. So a nice rebound when it comes down to that. So let me know your thoughts on Faraday in the comments below. Give yourself a shout out if you have been buying, selling, holding. What have you been doing with Faraday? And also to note on the actual technicals, it is lower percentile of the Bollinger Band, and it does look like it has stabilized a little bit of sorts. So definitely that might be a positive thing. Let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And even though Faraday goes up, down, sideways, all over the place, take advantage of these promos. So just sign up for an account with Moo, throw $100 at it, and you get 5 free stocks. Each stock is valued up to $2,000. So take advantage of this only up until October the 20th. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all of that said, I appreciate all of you watching, and let's eventually make a lot of money on Faraday Future.